What is up, Scrub fam? I am back, and we are here with some ridiculous Series 9 material to cover. We have brand new, fresh archetypes coming out that are rehashing some of our favorite characters, and I am incredibly excited. Before I get started in this video, let me give a shout out to my sponsor, Al Pastrana, Beard Collectibles, best shop owner on the planet. If you're looking to get your sealed product for Series 9, make sure you're going through the Beard. You can make sure that you go ahead and get your boxes. You get a special price on boxes. You have cases that are like $720 right now. My favorite thing to do is to order the full Beard. That way you get a guaranteed place out of every single card in the set, minus secret rares. It's only $300. Great bargain, great value. Huge fan. Easiest way to get what you need. Go through beardedcollectibles.com. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to start with the core is the archetype I am the most hype about, which is, of course, is the Thick Boy. Jiren is the thickest boy, especially that Awakened ability. It is so nice. It is so nice to have a Jiren leader that's finally relevant. One of the most iconic characters from Dragon Ball Super, has a fantastic leader card. The front side is when you attack, choose one card in your life, add it to your hand. You get to pick one. You can either draw a card and get plus 5k, or choose up to one Universal 11 card in your hand with energy cost 2 or less and play it. So what's cool is that, number one, you can either make this leader just be generically good, just like Broly, except you get a plus 5k pump. Or if you want to, you can play like more, a higher synergy strategy, either using the successor engine or just focusing on Jiren's old cards, which is really kind of cool. So when you awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, you may draw one card and then choose up to one of your energy and switch it to active mode, flip this card over, and then full power Jiren the Unstoppable. So when a card attacks, he draws one card and then you get plus 5k, so he's a 20k leader on the back, and then activate Battle, choose one card in your life and add it to your hand until the start of your next main phase. As long as you have a Universal 11 card in play, you don't take damage from your opponent's attacks. What's great about this being Activate Battle is you can either activate it on your turn, you can either activate it on your opponent's turn. You can do what you need to do to make sure that you get this effect off, and you of course need to make sure that you establish a board of Universal 11 characters, whether if it's either going wide or going really tall with something that's really hard for the opponent to kill. This ability is incredible if you're looking to extend the game, or so let's say you awaken, you're playing against Baby, they're going on their kill turn, you awaken, you activate Battle, you take one life, add it to your hand, you have a Universal 11, your opponent can't kill you anymore, and then you get to crack back at him, which is awesome. So this leader alone, like I said, makes the archetype playable on its own. What's going to start to make it competitive is when you try and kind of look back at all the synergies that all the cards you get to play with, plus all the new stuff now. So, for instance, if you want to go the successor route, you have the ability to play stuff really early, really often. So, Binary Blade Casserole, or Kunchi Threaded Energy. That's honestly one of my first, the best turn 1 plays on the draw is swing, choose a life, add it to your hand, play a casserole, and then to your Kunchi. And then so now you have your 2-drop and then your 1-drop. So you have 3 on board, and then Kunchi gets all of your Universal 11 guys barrier, which is kind of wild. So then all your little dudes going to have barrier. And so that's already 3 energy with the guys on the board. So if you want a successor or you want to keep going wide so you can get to Absolute Justice Jiren, you have the ability to do that. You have Jiren Righteous Leader that's coming out from the new set as well, which is going to basically have Deflect, and you can get two or less out of your drop area and put them into play with their skills negated. And so what's really cool about that is, once you play the Jiren and you already have a Kunchi on board, then the guys that come into play are going to have barrier because they're Universal 11. And so that combines with old cards like Hero Combination Zoya, which is pretty sweet. Because now, since you're Universal 11, you have another one in play. It's a blocker that doesn't KO on the first time. So again, it's all about making your board go wider and wider so you can keep your leader alive, so you can end up dropping those bombs you want to, or using your board and sacking these guys to successor, whether if it's going to be with the new Topo, or I'm imagining there's going to be even more Jiren cards that are, of course, coming out that are focused around Successor, which is pretty dope. But also what's nice about Jiren being generically good and these yellow cards being generically good is that you can just play it either mono yellow, blue yellow, as is, and then you can find yourself with a really competitive deck. And of course, remember, since he's yellow, he gets to play really sweet cards like Bardock and Son Goku, Father and Son, and then, of course, you get the Raiders Warcry Ape, and then also SS Broly All Out Assault. So tons of successor targets, tons of way to easily leverage this leader's abilities. And then next you have the old 12-drop Jiren from Colossal Warfare or Absolute Justice Jiren from TOP. Both cards are fantastic finishers. Absolute Justice Jiren is in a fantastic spot with this new archetype, since you basically will be able to reduce the cost, make this a 5 energy play. With this leader, you're gonna get to turn 5, And if your opponent is either spending their energy or tries to activate counterplay against us, they're going to lose a lot of their cards on the field or in their energy. So something to keep in mind when you're playing with this deck and this leader, or just, you know, when you're tinkering with your new builds once the set comes out. I'm excited to see what is going to be spoiled additionally to these cards, because you know that there's going to be promos, you know, more commons and uncommons are going to fit into this archetype. They're going to make this deck even more cooler than it is right now. So anyway, that is Jiren. Next is Cell, and Cell Perfection Surpass. So Cell is back. Even though we just had the drop today, new leaders are incredibly hype. A lot of people are sleeping on this leader and how strong it is, because your activate man on the front side gets any card from the top 5. So this is going to increase your consistency like tenfold, because you're going to be able to find whatever card you want, and then you get to put one card in your hand in your drop area. And this has a high synergy with the cards that you're going to be playing in the deck itself, because there's a lot of cards that you want in your drop area. And, you know, I'll talk about this in a second once we get over to the cards that are going to impact this. And then Awaken Surge, choose 1 green and 1 yellow card, draw 2 cards, choose up 2 your energy, switch them to active mode. So Untap 2 is huge here, because it's going to enable the majority of your most broken turns, so you can do Successor more than once, because this stack is going to be geared all about Successor. And then Cell Perfection Surpass, if your life is at 4 or less, choose 1 card on this card and place it under drop area. It's activate main. And then, so the first one is until the start of your opponent's next main phase, and started your next main phase. If your opponent plays a battle card, it is played in rest mode. So this ability is very strong. A lot of people, again, they're sleeping on how powerful this leader is, and the fact that you can just, on one of your turns, just decide to drop one of your cards in the drop area, and everything your opponent plays comes in the rest mode is huge, because your opponent's not going to be able to kill you, essentially, unless they already have an already established board. But if you awaken before them, pop this ability off, your opponent's going to kind of, you know, end up being time walk, because anything they play is just going to come into play in rest mode. So stuff like Kaioken, like, yeah, they can strip your hand, but it comes into play in rest mode. They can play Gojira Hero Revive, but it doesn't come into play in rest mode. So again, you just get a turn to recover any sort of threat that comes down, you're going to be able to deal with. And then, of course, the second one is choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, KO it, and then choose 1 card in your opponent's hand and place it in their drop area. So very simple effect. You get to kill something, and then your opponent chooses 1 card. Then you choose 1 card, and you put it in your hand and place it in your drop area. So leader overall is very strong. Again, I think people are sleeping on it. So now the cards that go into this archetype. Number 1, Quick Sweep Android 17. So if you have a Cell card in play, increase this card's energy cost by 2. So it makes it a 3 as long as you have a Cell card in play. So chain of events here. Number 1, you want to make sure you get this card in your drop area. So that comes into play with your leader's ability to look at the top 5, choose any card, and then choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. So you put Android 17 in your drop area. Android 17 has an activate main. For 1 green, it says if there are no cards in your battle area, play this card from your drop area. So immediately, you're going to start your chain, right? So first things first, tap a green, play Android 17 into play. So now you have 3, right? Next thing you're going to do, Cell, right? Cell says if your leader is Cell and you only have Android 17 cards in play, you can play this card from your drop area, and then your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it in their drop area, which is great. And then, of course, you can't play it for the duration of the turn, because that would be unfair. So you'll tap an energy, you'll play yourself from the drop area. Boom. So now you have 6 already. Then you tap a yellow and a green, you go into Cell Devourer of the Masses. And this is something to keep in mind. So when you play the Cell, they have to discard a card. When you go into Cell Devourer of the Masses, it's going to kill something, and your opponent has to discard a card. And then it has a sweet auto where if Devour the Masses dies, you draw 3 cards. Seems pretty okay. And then going back to Cell Android Absorber, what's cool about this is, let's say your opponent plays a counterplay and they kill your Cell because they can't come back. You then get to choose an Android 18 card from your drop area with cost 3 or less, and then you can put that card into play with its skills negative for the duration of the turn. So what I like about this is no matter what, you're gonna get 6 costs worth of effects on the battlefield, unless the opponent kills the Android 17. But even then, Android 17 you can play multiple times. So even if they kill the Android 17, you can bring it back, right? You play the Cell. Let's say they kill the Cell, then you put an Android 18 into play. And so at that point, no matter what, you're gonna have 6 costs worth on the board for Successor. And what's great is that this Cell also has great synergy with Deadly Defender Android 18, because it is a 3 cost. So let's say, for instance, your opponent kills the Cell, boom, Deadly Defender comes in, you can make sure it's in rest mode, your opponent's turn, they're going to have to swing at that if they want to be able to get through to your leader card, so it just helps you be a little bit more defensive. So again, high synergy there. And then so, of course, the obvious, once you get the 6-drop Cell Devourer of the Masses down on the board, you're going to activate Android 18, Perfection's Prey. It's a championship pack promo, but this gimme card, highly sought after. You can guarantee it. But this card states that if your leader card is Cell, and you only have Cell cards in your battle area, you can play this card. And then you basically can't play another copy of this card for the duration of the turn. So, essentially, you're going to do turn, you have Cell Devour the Masses into play. Then you're going to tap a green. You're going to put the Android 18 into play. Then you're going to tap your energy and play Cell Unthinkable Perfection. And then at that point, you get to look at your opponent's hands. You choose up to 3 battle cards in their hand, place them in the drop area, and then choose up to one of your leader cards and one of their leader cards and negate its non-keyword skills for the duration of the turn. So this deck, of course, is a hand destruction deck, so it's like classic Cell. But at the same exact time, it's just like using that successor engine, to the utmost. The deck is meant to be centered around it. So you get access to all these great cards that work together, right? Which is really cool with the successor engine, is because you're kind of like just like building these big creatures, big battle cards. But at the same exact time, this deck gets to play like a lot of cards that make this happen. So not only just these cards here, but there's also a yellow Android 17 that's uncommon. It's a counterplay card where basically whenever you play it or it's placed in the drop area by your skill, you can negate the skills of one of your opponent's battle cards. And that becomes a 2 cost, which is great. So let's say you leave energy up. Boom. Okay, Android 17, the yellow one comes into play. You can then tap a green to bring your Cell into play on your turn, and then you can just start that chain like I talked about. So the deck is really redundant if you wanted to build the deck that way, but at the same exact time, you could also do different things to cheat your Cells into play without having to use this engine. So you can use SS Broly Auto Assault, you can use the Deadly Defender thing because it's easy to get from your drop area into play. Like, all these cards work together to make this package really sweet because it's just so flexible. So I'm really excited to start testing with this deck as well. I think it's definitely going to have a place as we move forward. I think the leader is just generically strong. But in general, lots to talk about with this deck. Lots to talk about this leader. Very hype. And then, of course, big thing that people are talking about is UI Goku. So UI Goku, red-blue, it is a spells deck. It is it from Magic. I know everyone hates these references, but it is true. Son Goku on the front side has an activate battle. When this card is in battle, you can choose 1 extra card in your hand and place it in your drop area. Then you choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand, draw 1 card, and then this card gets plus 5,000, and then you negate the skill for the duration of the battle. So basically, you just can't trigger it multiple times per battle. You can only trigger it 1 time per battle. But even with that, you can use it to stop a double strike attack. You can use it defensively early game to basically stop any 10 case. So you're playing against Baby, they swing at you. You can just go boom, drop this, draw a card, take a life, gain plus 5 for the duration of the battle, and you can just stop them from progressing. And then its Awakened Surge is choose 1 red card and 1 blue card in your hand and place them under this card. You may draw 3 cards, then choose up to 1 of your energy and switch to active mode to flip this card over. So this leader has a great way to generate hand advantage just through the Activate Battle on the front, and of course your Awakened Surge. And I know people, are probably think that the Untap 1 just isn't as good as Untap 2, but with all the Untap effects you're going to have access to in this deck between Sensu Bean, Dimension Magic, and the new Super Combo that you can use on your opponent's turn, you're going to have access to plenty of energy throughout the duration of the game. And then on the Awakened side, this is where it starts to get a little nuts, a little pushed. Activate main / battle once per turn. If your life is at 4 or less, choose 1 card, place it in your drop area. If you have a Universe 7 card in play, draw 1 card. Then your opponent reveals their hand, choose up to 1 extra card or battle card with 35,000 power or less, and place it in their drop area. So you get a Thoughtseize. Yes, again, another Magic reference. But you look at your opponent's hand, choose their best card, unless it's, over 35k, and put it in the drop area. Ridiculous. And then the second one is choose up to 3 multicolored extra cards with different names in your drop area and or warp and add them to your hand. So you get to buy back your spells, which is a very powerful effect, especially with what we're seeing. And I can imagine we're going to see even more, just based on the fact that this deck and this leader and this new mechanic Invoker all revolve around multicolor extra cards. So with that being said, let's take a look at the cards that right now seem like just the most important cards in the deck. So Tournament of Power Arena, this looks like the linchpin. This is the card that you need. Basically, every single turn, your number 1, all your multicolor cards are going to get rid of their energy exhaust. So you don't have to play the Mecha Frieza. I mean, you can if you want some small number, if you want to have a, Sulfur Falls, untap land. But Tournament of Power Arena just makes it so all of them have their energy exhaust skills negated. And of course, Activate Main. Look at the top 3 cards, put them in any order, and you may place them on the top or the bottom of your deck. So look at top 3, manipulate them. You can move them to the top or bottom of your deck. Very powerful card, has a lot of synergy with the effects that this, all the effects that this deck has to offer. So I'm really excited about the archetype just with that alone. The next thing, of course, is Beerus Divine Obliterator. Like I mentioned, super combo. when you use it, you get to untap one of your multicolor energy. So good. Again, it's it's like a Synth beam, but it's better, especially if you have an Invoker card on board. That means you're going to get access to even more disruption, even better plays, kill spells on the opponent's turn that are going to be instant. So your opponent's going to have a really hard time getting through all these effects. So again, powerful, really excited, love it. Next thing, Emperor's Death Beam. Energy Exhaust. Normal cost of it is 3, but has a activate main / battle. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier, and it gets minus 30,000 for the duration of the turn. And then activate main, send this card from your drop barrier to your warp. Look at the top card of your deck. If it's a multicolor extra card, you may add it to your hand. Otherwise, place it on top of your deck. So these effects, these activate mains at the bottom of these effects, combo great with Tournament Power Arena. So basically, you can set up the top of your deck, manipulate it so that you can always get a hit. So you can basically turn it into like card draw for free, which is, of course, very strong. It's what you want to do, especially if you're playing like a control strategy, right? The next thing is going to be Golden Frieza Sovereign Technique. This card is one of our first Invoker cards that are previewed. So Energy Exhaust Invoker, and then auto, if your leader card is a Universe 7 card, when you play this card, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to one red-blue multicolor extra card. Among them, add it to your hand and place the remaining cards on the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So again, more deck manipulation. Looking at the top 5, you can choose to put them on the top or bottom in any order. Gives you great access to cards that you're looking for within your deck. Allows you to set up your next draw step, and of course, wants you to find a red-blue multicolor card. Royal Condemnation. This card is gross. If your leader card is a Universe 7 card, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 8 or less, it is placed at the bottom of its owner's deck instead of being played. So any major threat that doesn't have Deflect can get countered by Royal Condemnation. It's one of those great payoff cards for being in the strategy itself. Huge fan. Excited to start seeing a lot of control decks that are going to be maxing out on this card because of the Invoker engine. So again, really cool. This card here, next, is probably the linchpin of the entire strategy itself. This is the card, aside from Tournament Power Arena, that is the most important. This is SSB Vegeta Inspired Technique. Barrier Deflect. This card is coming down. You cannot stop this card from coming down. It just has Invoker. Exactly what the strategy needs. Everyone was worried about the fact that it's like, these Invoker cards, this card hadn't been reviewed yet, and people were like, man, these Invoker cards are like good, but I don't know how good they're going to be. I'm just worried that the payoffs aren't going to be there, and you have the card that puts it all together. This card makes the rest of your deck work. This is going to be a floor of all the cards in this strategy. The SRs are all going to be sought after, so I'm really excited about seeing what this happens in the set. I think the secondary market's going to be fantastic, especially starting with cards like this that kind of just make the strategy work together. But again, SSB Vegeta Inspired Technique, the card you need. Next card, of course, is Ultra Instinct Son Goku. Energy Explosion. Again, has Invoker and then auto. Choose 3 of your energy and place them in your drop area. Then, when you play this card from your hand, choose 3 cards in your drop area, negate their energy exhaust, and place them in your energy. So, this is a 6 energy battle card that is going to end up only costing 3. It's exactly what a control deck wants, is a giant threat that allows you to just untap your energy. So I'm glad that we have this card. Very powerful. And then auto, once per turn, when one of your cards deals damage to your opponent, deal 1 additional damage to your opponent. So we're finally getting closer to what the win condition is going to be. And I know that we have a card that's being let me talk about next that is going to be part of the win condition, but I have a feeling that this archetype isn't done. They're probably going to introduce another win condition at some point, so I'm excited to see that. But anyway, we can talk about the card that people are probably the most hyped about from the set, especially with Invoker, is Catastrophic Blow. So Catastrophic Blow says activate main. If you have a red-blue multicolor Son Goku card in play, or there are no battle cards in your battle area, deal 1 damage to your opponent. Send this card from your drop area to your warp. Look at the top card of your deck. If it's a multicolor card, again, so it has that synergy. But this is how you're going to close out games. A lot of people now and forever have focused on self-awakening and doing a lot of damage to themselves. You have a strategy that's going to be able to recycle these multicolor cards. You have plenty of removal, plenty of counters, plenty of negates, plenty of ways to stay alive, and then this is the card that you're going to need to seal the game and steal that win from your opponent. Catastrophic Blow, once you have Invoker in play, it's going to cost you 1 multicolor energy to make this happen, and then this is how you're going to win the game, especially in conjunction with the 6-drop, the Ultra Instinct Sun Goku Energy Explosion, where you're going to be dealing an additional damage when you play Catastrophic Blow. So, free way to deal damage to your opponent. I'm all in. Sounds like a great way to play a deck. But, anyways, guys, that's all I have for today. Series 9 is looking absolutely absurd. Between the Ultra Instinct Sun Goku leader, Cell, Jiren. This is one of the first sets in a long time where like I'm excited to put like my brewing cap on and start generating a ton of deck profiles because this new format's going to be absolutely absurd. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you get a chance, please check out the Patreon if you're looking to up your game. We've got daily articles as well as help you with your deck list. Have the ability to get access to training camps where you can get ready for your next major event that's coming up. So check that out. The link will be down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Okay. Bye!